Let's do a review on a golf iron that a lot of golfers probably should be hitting. Welcome back to the mcgolf fitting room. Jim McCleary, most award certified clubmaker club fitter. And if you would, swing and hit that bell. That way you get more of these videos when they drop. And if you don't mind, check out the other social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, IAMCGOLF or McGolf Custom Clubs. Man, it's getting nasty outside, and we've had some pretty decent weather, and now we have to pay for it with some of the rain. And as you can see, it's coming down pretty good. So it's time to do a review. I've been building, as you guys have been watching, if you've been on Instagram and that kind of stuff, I have been building like a machine. And it's been across the board. It's been all of them. Wilson, New Level, Mizuno, Callaway, all of them. They've been all on the bench. They've all been made. They've all been sent out into various places from one coast to the other. And it's been very nice. I thank everybody for their support. Now back into the review part. We had the opportunity to talk to John Pergande. And John Pergande is the head of R&D. Got to be able to talk to him the last couple of years now. He is a phenomenal guy, right? He really has a good grasp on what a lot of the golfers need. This time, Wilson kind of stepped out of the box and created this ultra, let's make a lot of people have fun golf type iron, and it's called the Launch Pad. And the Launch Pad is a hollow-bodied iron. And the hollow body iron, it's strong lofted. It is very, very, very wide in the sole. It has a nice gray paint job to kind of mask the size of the club, and with I'd say a modicum of offset, not very much at all, honestly. And the whole idea, hit it thin, get the ball up into play instead of hitting them fat. But don't listen to what I have to say. Let's see what John had to say.
We'll make a transition into the Launch Pad. Right, and we'll start on our way up. And I've happened to got a 6, and we talk about sole. Holy smokes! But I mean heck of a transition. Good looking clubs. So what are we looking at here?
Well, the Launch Pad. I mean, definitely the sole is what we're talking about at the core of what a launch pad is. But if you take a step back and you look at the all-encompassing view of what Launch Pad is, it's a family of products that we had, and the family was designed around two points. One, iron play from the fairway. How do we make a person enjoy the game better? And wood play, either off the tee or from the fairway. And the primary problem for the driver and fairways is a slice problem for a lot of players that aren't very good. And the fairway, as you start getting closer and closer to the green, the problem isn't as much slicing the ball. It's about clean contact to the ball. It's about chunking the ball, hitting the ball fat. And I can't solve the problem necessarily of always hitting the ball thin, but I can do something about how the club interacts with turf so that you can get the most distance out of a club and the most enjoyment out of that club compared to what you're currently playing. And so it started with an insight of doing a lot of tests, and we took a lot of we can say higher handicap players. We just chose some players of about 12 and above, and these aren't even 12 handicaps, not necessarily going to take the full effect of what the sole is, but that was our measurable, a reasonably consistent measurable swing that we could get put on here. And so you get 20, 30 players, you start measuring the quality of their hits and how many fat shots did they have, and how many clean shots did they have against their own clubs, against this club, and some other clubs. And you find that there's a problem when 70% of your shots are hit fat and coming up 20 yards short. It just adds struggle to your game that you don't need to experience, or you can certainly find a way to avoid just through equipment.
And that's where we find, when we do fittings here, one of the primary parameters is it's the quality of the shot, the smash factor of the club. And it's not just in the driver, it's also in the irons. The numbers are different, to be sure, but the quality of the strike certainly outweighs a lot of the other parameters in order to be successful on the golf course. And if that gets you where you need to be, then so be it. Now, how high does the launch pad go? What's the tallest iron?
We've got it down to a 4 iron. And the reason being is that the 4 iron construction is really, thinking in terms of a utility club, it's as forgiving a club at a 4 iron level as I've ever had. And the interesting thing about that is that if you get better players to hit it, they will even comment about how easy it is to hit. And you got to start thinking of like what goes into that. There's a couple progressions within this family that are noticeable. You bring up the width of the sole. Well, the widest sole in this iron family is at the 4 iron, and that is where the greatest forgiveness needs to be for the vast majority of players. So it's the widest sole. It's going to provide the easiest ground interaction or the most forgiving ground interaction amongst any of the clubs. It is the lowest profile club of the iron set. It starts progressively going down and lower and lower so that you can get a center of gravity, again, as low as possible below the ball, so that when you do hit the face, you have the greatest chance of getting it up in the air and advancing it in a most meaningful way down the fairway. And that is the goal of these. Hit them far, hit them high, reduce the bad shots, because the worst thing you can do is when you really lay the sod over a club or you really chunk one significantly, it's a lost shot. The ball just did not go anywhere, and there's no other excuse for it. And if you talk to consumers as well and players, they would trade a missed green that they hammered and hit really great with a slice or a hook or a pull or a push over a 20-yard net increase in the middle of the fairway, because one of them speaks to, well, I just have a bad swing and a bad game, and one of them speaks to like, well, I'm just not good. I always talk the horror stories of a slice when you're there, well, I just missed it, or I had a bad swing thought, or I had something, but something about chunking the ball and laying the sod over the top just does not appeal to most players, and I would say even a little more embarrassing than anything else.
Well, I like the contrast that you have on the sole is that you have the satiny look for the largest part of it, and then you have the shinier chrome accents on it. And it gives it a different. I mean, it gives it a different appeal in the bag for sure, and it gives you a different mindset when you go to set it down. When you go to put it on when you go to set it down, although you can see all the gray behind it, and gray was a good color to pick, by the way. But the top line that you give it, I mean, yeah, it's thick, but it's not the thickest I've ever seen, by sure. I mean, I think it looks very comfortable sitting in a club like that.
That's exactly right. So the initial goal of this was to call it an iron set, not a combination set or an iron and a hybrid set. It was to make every club look like an iron. And how did we do that? Exactly what you just said. We still maintained the top line that we had a bright, clean finish on. And then that gray was chosen for a reason. It trying to get the back of the club to disappear into the ground and not become noticeable, so that you have very much an iron appearance that's not very large or gaudy or affecting your eyesight as you set up to a ball and swing and attempt to hit it.
And then, so what did we end up with the lofts? And I mean, I'm sure we made them a little stronger, but these aren't the grossly strong lofts, are they?
No. They're a couple degrees weaker on hole over our D7 clubs. The way I look at it is, if you want the comparison of D7, our D7 iron is our longest club. It is designed to be our longest club. It has the strongest lofts, and for a clean hit, it will go the farthest of any club we've got. So I call that distance through ball speed. The same breath, Launchpad, is distance through forgiveness. So we want to improve the quality of shot as much as we can, and that is going to give you the greatest distance possible for that type of player who struggles to do that. Because if you average, 10 shots, if 4 or 5 of them are terrible, your average distance is going to come way down. And so talk about effective distance. If you are hitting the center of the face every time, then distance is just you're picking clubs based on what you play the best with or how far you want to hit it, because you could play blades all the way up to cavity back clubs, and you would know how far they go, and you would adjust your game accordingly. hard to adjust your game if you're struggling to hit the ball in the middle of the face. So we want people to hit the ball in the middle of the face with the greatest chance of getting a good, consistent distance out of every swing.
So, what did Wilson select as the lowest iron? I mean, as far as the highest lofted iron, did we go down to the sand wedge?
Through the gap wedge, for sure, and I think we may have had some sand wedges made, but I don't know that we have them commercially available at this point. The wedge gets to be a little bit tough on a hollow construction when you're starting to talk like 50 degrees or above. It loses some of the impact and the effect. So our primary set is 4 through pitch, and then I do think we have a couple other pieces available.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Pergande, for helping out. And thank you for taking the time during this whole crisis situation. As of this video, they've been, opening up slowly. And so we're starting to see golf product get out there, Wilson included, right? So we're starting to get it out there, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for everybody in golf. If you're expecting a little bit longer delay time, that's the reason why. So now that we've talked with John, let's see how they really performed.
All right, let's talk some averages here. This is a line where we're talking about the average of the 12 shots that I took. And on average, the carry was 188 with a total of 191. So that's only 3 yards, right? And that's pretty good, actually, considering the spin rate that I was throwing out at an average of 49 and some change. Basically call it 5,000. So the club for itself is actually spinning very, very well. I'm missing a little bit to the left, as you can see, 2.9 degrees to the left. I'll take that all day. Swinging with a club head speed with a 6-iron at 94, and with the smash factor at an average of 130, which I think is, we'll say it's good to just about, it's above average, but not by much, and with a result of a 122 ball speed. Now, some things to understand here is that we're seeing on the average of, it's coming down at 46 degrees, which is what we like, and 110 feet. So, you divide that, and we're going to talk something about this later, but between 30 and 40 yards in the air. So it actually flies pretty good. So, and as a whole, I'm hitting a small fade. I'll take that all day. So let's take a look and see how it really, really worked. All right, so what we're going to see here is a culmination of all 12 shots as they take off. You can see I'm hunting the center line except for the 3 that are on the left. And as they come down, they're hunting the middle except for the ones that the 3 that are on the left-hand side. So let's go back to the very first one, and we'll talk about just a couple of these shots as they play. You see a little bit left. It's kind of a pull fade. Lands down to the center. It's not an amazing shot at 180, 183, a 130 smash factor like they see, just basically the average shot. However, I'm swinging 3 to 4 mile an hour slower than what even the average would be. So if we crank that up to the 94 and we say about 2.25 yards per mile per hour, all of a sudden this is almost at 190. And we look here, it's in what I had 2 types of flight path, what I would call the shallow flight path and then the high flight path. And this is something to talk about. Everybody talks about, wow, I hit the ball really high, I hit the ball really low. Well, based on quality of hit and how are you getting there, but we can show you where height can be your friend. So if we go, let's choose another one, and there's a good one. Let's just choose this guy. So we'll play this one. Following the middle of the fairway, and there's the fade. Boom. But I'm swinging at 95 mile an hour now and hit it just ever so slightly better, resulting in nearly a 200-yard shot. So everything's, based on where it's landing, I'm not hurting with this one. And then we will go to, and probably the worst one of the bunch right there, the lowest lining, not swinging, well, swinging very, middle of the road and not very well struck ball. Now, with that one on the opposite end, let's go to the one I creamed, and that would be this guy, number 10. Look how high this is at, right? And that in a big number. Hit it very, very well, and I didn't hit it. I was just slightly below club head speed on the average, but the smash factor, the quality of the hit was so high. And that's really there's a tale to be told there. 92 mile an hour, high smash factor, you can get good results and still hitting it high. So we watch this guy fly, and it's following the center line. just a slight pull, and bam, right? So it was just one heck of a shot, and you get it out there, and that was just the one of them. And of course, it was towards the end. You start getting a little bit more warm, right? And there's another one right behind it at 195, more towards the center, and in the 195 range. So, all in all, this could be easily, you can consider it a 190 to 195 club. And if you really need to step on one or two, then you could, because of the swing speed. So let's go look at all of them together. All right. So the last one I stepped on didn't hit it as good as, say, this guy, and yet it ended up about the same. And what was the difference in it? Well, the quality of the hit. A .05 difference is a pretty big deal. And then all of a sudden one was high and one was low, and that was what got me out there. So all in all, here's me getting warmed up, and then all of a sudden I decided I trusted the club, and then the numbers started getting bigger. And that's what we really, found out about the club. Now, where did it group, right? So, as we talked about, there's the 3 on the left that were fades, and the rest of it I'm hunting inside 10 yards either side, which is acceptable to my particular game. Some of them a little bit wide, but for the most part, I'm landing right at that 190 area, going to 195. And this is a 6-iron, guys. And, of course, it's stronger, but that's a heck of a shot. So let's go back and talk some more about the golf club.
All right, so you saw what we did with the Wilson launch pad. I actually hit it pretty good, which is kind of unique when you were talking about, you would think that with a sole this wide that it would be just so absolutely clunky that you just couldn't hit it. And it just seems that the opposite is true. Hence the reason why we said a club that you probably won't play. So who's it for? Well, in the making of this video, I've done quite a few fittings. Turns out 2 golfers ended up liking this one the best, right? Ball getting in the air. You'll hear, we heard them talk about, hitting it thin to win, which certainly can happen for sure. However, what we've failed to really mention is that with this sole so wide that the center of gravity's got to have been pulled down very, very low, and it helps get that ball in the air. And these were 2 guys that didn't hit the ball very high, and this helped. And another one is it felt soft. It has a nice soft feel to it, specifically when you get into the middle. When you've hit one poorly. And so it's, giving you feedback. It's not dull by any shape of the imagination. So again, a lot of people could hit this. Will they? I don't know. So if you're struggling with a fade, slice, getting things going away from you, it has a modicum of offset to help with that. If you're hitting diggers and you just don't want your joints hurting, or you just want to stop taking a whole truckload of turf, this could be that particular issue as well. Getting started, or even at the other side of your golfing career, maybe this could be for you as well. Again, like everything else, if you really, really want to know, go get fit. Go get fit with somebody that's got that in there. Now, what I've been finding is slightly heavier shafts that go in these things make this club work really, really well. And that's the reason why for the fitting. Or go to a demo day and ask for a heavier shaft, and you can do that. So hopefully you found this guy working out, and it goes down through the sand wedge, although I'm not a proponent of that, but if you guys are, then you have that option. It will go into the sand wedge. So there it is, right? The launch pad, all the way from the driver all the way down. We just did the irons in this particular one. Surprisingly works well. So, if you're looking for a set and you're having those kinds of issues, that's something to search them out. And as always, let's see your scores go low.